So I have been homeschooling my son since 2017. So far before all of this started, I had seen that what we had our children in, regardless of whether it was public or private, were institutions. And so when SB 276 happened, my son was already at home with me. He is also vaccine injured. And so when we were fighting for that, I was doing it for my son's right to just go to school, even though we already had him home. Because all of our children have the right to go to school undiscriminated against. Since then, I am now a California refugee. I have chosen not to pay my tax dollars to California, but I still live with you here in solidarity, and we're still doing this. So, much like Gabby, I work with Denise and Tara with the United Counties Initiative, and I work within my county, leading protests, going to our Board of Supervisors, and additionally, I led protests in front of the OSHA's director's house because he was finding businesses for staying open and for people not wearing masks in those businesses. Because of that, he stopped finding businesses because he didn't want to sell them.
That's for the whole state of Nevada. That was for all of Nevada. Yeah, and never underestimate the power of the community. What Nathan was talking about with businesses banding together. So in 2020, when everything was shut down, I'm in Stockton. Tara and I went to the restaurant owners around Stockton. We said, hey, stay open. These are just recommendations. You don't have to do this. If people were so scared they were going to be singled out and fined, just don't do it, right? We're going to all of these restaurants. We're having strategic meetings, and we were able to build a coalition. And these restaurants stayed open. They're like, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to stay open. And we ended up taking a picture in front of our city council or city hall, and the media called us far-right extremists because we partnered with restaurants. Right. But what we did is we kept them open, and we created a phone tree. When public health or any kind of agency were coming to these stores or salons, they would call on the phone tree, and we would all show up together and not let them through. So there were times that public health was ran out. What we noticed during 2020 and the lockdowns and everything that happened was that people did not understand branches of government. They didn't understand how the governor cannot mandate anything. They couldn't understand how it wasn't a mayor who was locking you down, but these were all recommendations. And what we did is we went to the public health officers' houses. You blocked us out of meetings. You stop going to work. You work at home. That makes it an office, and I'm going to go to your house, and we're just going to have it there. And that's what Aaron did in Nevada. So we can, with the right strategy of organizing, we can bring Californians to their knees, these extremists to their knees, and make sure that our children and our families are protected. Nobody else is out there watching out for us. Nobody. We work at the Capitol, we see it.
Yes. And I just want to say something because I see what's happening in my state, and while you guys have different restrictions than we might have in other states, what it's doing here is bringing you guys together. It is much harder to organize in Nevada because the pressure isn't there. So we have less unity, we have less people fighting for what we need. So while this might appear to be negative, look at all of you here. Look at all of you here wanting to learn all of these great strategies so that you can make a difference.
Yeah, and I would say that we always say, if you hear the calling in you, you are being called. You are being called, and you're to listen to that voice. And we're to teach our children to listen to that voice. And it's to step in and build the world that you want. And to not, to stand in the courage of your convictions at all times. And I want to tell you that, again, we are no different than you. And I started in 2015 in this, and I ran legislative strategy on these extremist bills, the vaccine mandate bills. I ran referendums and first lawsuits on SB 277. And in 2017, other than a few meetings with Trump, who Bobby Kennedy and Andy Wakefield had, our next biggest meetings were with Jason Chaffetz when he was the head of the Government Oversight Research Committee. In March of 2017, I was one of 11 people in those meetings for the nation. And we had Del Petrie talking about the 86 Act, Judy Mikovits talking about Fauci and the pandemic in March of 2017. Zen Honeycutt revealing glyphosates in vaccines for the first time, Tony Muhammad talking about the CDC whistleblower, and I was talking about vaccine mandates at the state and the federal government. Little old me could have been any one of you there, because I had no other training. I had nothing but the calling inside of me and knowing it was wrong and being willing to step in. In fact, I sat there going, well, I guess there's no glass ceiling when you're fighting the New World Order, but what am I doing here talking about vaccine mandates for the state and the federal government? Chaffetz was trying to tell me, oh, there'll be no federal mandates. I'm like, well, we know better. It's a global agenda. But, so the point is, you know, when we formed Freedom Angels, we formed it in the legislative process of 276, and we formed it in a hearing doing civil disobedience, peaceful civil disobedience. That was our hearing strategy. And we stepped up and we said, you're not going to mess with our kids. We're not moving. These are, you know, our kids, not yours, and we won't comply. Arrest us. You can't shame us. You can't silence us. You can't disconnect us from our knowing. I have never felt more free in my life than in that moment where I was like, you can't touch me. You can arrest me. You can call me all the names. And then when the lockdowns hit, same thing. We ran the first protest, Freedom Angels did at the California Capitol. On our second protest, May 1st, we were, 32 of us were arrested and dragged across the pages of the global media as the evil face of the COVID resistance. And over we're called all these names. And we like to just say, look, we're still standing. We're still standing. You can do it. If we can do it, you can do it. And I think we want to take a moment, because there are so many of you that we know here and so many new people, but you have met at school board meetings. You have stepped out when you saw something wrong. You found us or each other on social media. We want to have you quickly say, hi, I'm Alyssa with, and say really quick, because we're going to tell you, and you're going to hear us a few times, the most important thing any of us can do here tonight is to be connected to each other and not leave here without some real information, to be in touch, because it is building these networks at the hyperlocal level. This is how we create the world we want, and we want to be like, we're in this with you. That's why we're here, because we are with you. When we're standing, we know you are there with us, and when you're standing somewhere, we are there with you. And we need to have that to move forward. So do you want to lead some of the folks to a quick say
Who has
hello?
a group? Who has a group that would like to? Yeah. Go ahead, stand up.
We are in Burbank. We're in Burbank, and we have a political action committee called Diversity Voter Pact, diversity of thought, and everything in between. We get people to vote because people aren't voting. Nothing's going to change unless everybody gets to the polls. So.
Wendy, say, oh yeah, go ahead.
And if we would like your information, if you want to follow us, we have QR code to get your on our email list.
Everyone tell your area.
Burbank. We are Burbank.
Can we be a part of it even though we're not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Yeah, everybody is with everybody, everywhere in the whole world. Everyone's all welcome. I want to say a shout out to Wendy. That mama has never done anything political. She was called to drive to the Capitol. We connected with Denise and I, and her first visit up, she became our expert witness for one of our bills that we are fighting against extremists, one of the big bills this year.
Hi, my name is Wendy. So I found Freedom Angels actually Denise on social media, and she invited me over. She said, hey, if you're gonna come to the Capitol, come and hang out with me, and that just encouraged me. I got the flight. I actually went to the Capitol twice. So yeah, I connected with Mom Army recently, and so I'm just bringing awareness.
Where's your mommy?
Yeah, where are you? I'm in Chinatown. Okay. You're in LA. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christine, this is Jaylene. We're twofold here. We started off with the Commonwealth Freedom Coalition. We are the group that got the only state in California to
Ordinance
1577. It makes vaccine mandates illegal within the city if you have a license. That reached federal level because we have aerospace working there. When the federal government said everyone needs to be vaccinated, they said everyone except for Plant 42.
Yes.
So we started there. One of our parents in our group
Sacramento Valley Alliance. We're in coalition with the Leave Our Kids Alone movement and Satakoy Elementary parents. And we're fighting LAUSD district, the indoctrination, mutilation, and the defense against our children.
Last year, she and her team worked their district with Luz Rivas and were really helpful and instrumental in the defeat of SB 866. That district to capital network is powerful and scares them. Go ahead, Gabby.
Hello, my name is Lynette Robb, and this is Gary Wolf, and we're here with Canada Gas Band. We're working to get a gas car ban in California. They want all electric cars by 2035. We filed a federal litigation in the state of California, and we're doing events, car shows, bike shows around the state right now, paying support. We also have cards here if you're interested in signing our online petition, and we have sports memorabilia drawings every month if you want to sign that.
Thank you.
David Hernandez, and my friend Benito Bernal and I were at that meeting at the Nation of Islam with, and our lives have been the same since. That ever since we started asking questions, like so many of you, demanding answers, and not blindly walking in or walking our children into the abyss of what has been happening to them. And so I have the honor of being a graduate of Satakoy Street Elementary School. And while we were there on that momentous morning, and that we're still there, and that we have extended an open invitation. Some of you have been on the show, and that invitation is still open. You can see me after the meeting and let me know when you want to come on the show. So thank you.
My name is Yvette. I work with the Free Now Foundation. We actually were the original chapter in California with Bobby Kennedy for Children's Health Defense. We have recently formed our own foundation outside of Children's Health Defense. We still work with them, but we have 7 lawsuits. 2 of our lawsuits have set precedents in California. It is our lawsuits that stopped LAUSD from demanding the COVID vaccine. Such a big deal because we were there in the winter. At Beaudry Street in downtown, there was at least 200 of us with homemade signs. Yes. And what were we doing, do you remember? In the rain. We were yelling through closed doors through the shutdown because the judge had given LAUSD a moment to just think about it. What were they going to do? And they chose to not go forward because we would have sued the hell out of them. Yes. Our lawsuits and the other efforts we're doing, we're partners with Freedom Angels. We send our ambassadors that live up in the area to be trained because they do have grassroots training days. So if you guys are interested in that, grassroots training up in Sacramento, it's easy to meet. We actually have a flight out that flies back in. It's at a small airport. It's simple to do. We can fundraise so that you guys can make it up there. This is a worthy cause so we can actually talk to the people in legislation. They are human. If you remember, you said you're no different than we are. And the legislatures and the assembly members are no different than we are. And the second you form the relationship, you can start demanding things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Benito Bernal. I'm with the Churches in Action and one of the founders with Gen Z 180 Shift. How many of you heard of Gen Z 180 Shift? It's off of social media. So Gen Z 180 Shift right now, their posts are getting up to 5.7 million views. We're the ones that have the Satakoy Elementary parents, the Glendale parents pretty much get on the map. You know, we're now going to work with the AP parents as well. So I'm also a former vice president for SEIU Local 99 and represents the classified employees of the Valley Unified School District and other school districts. 19 years ago, I was one of the leaders that helped expose the corruption within SEIU, that helped slow down the agenda, that was trying to take parental rights. So, and what we did was, I realized, one of the things you have to understand, it's all about the money. Everything we fight is all about the money, power, and money. So what I did as a union vice president was I helped educate the union rank and file how to file at the federal level so that they no longer have to pay their dues to the union. So I heard the unions in their pocket, it cost them $2 million in the first year, and that's when the unions finally started to listen. But once I was removed from the union, now the union can see the agenda they pushed in the last 5 years. But once again, for all you parents here, please listen to what these women are saying up here, because the guidance, the education that they're going to give you, please don't just let it sit here in this room. Please make sure you go home, you share it with individuals, those that you live with, your neighbors, your family, your friends, and the next time they have a meeting, don't come alone. Bring 2 or 3 people with you, because that's how change happens.
I'm not with anybody, but I'm always said I'm coming in and do something, but I brought my friends here, whether it's my home. And I just came back from DC, and I went to speak to the legislations of California, not only regarding homelessness, but also the radical bills that are happening. So I'm like a lone ranger, I just go to what my heart tells me to do, and I'm really just wanting to get involved and to help fight against everything, the tyranny that's happening here in California and amongst the world.
I love it. Thank you so much. All right. Now we're talking about the bills. Oh, yes.
Yes, my name is Marlon Gregorian. We are a Kids Alone organization, and I'm a parent with Salico Elementary School. Nava is part of our group, and we are working with many cities. Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster, San Diego, Orange County, San Jose, Glendale, San Fernando, North Hollywood, everybody's behind us. And we, the parents, are at the march in downtown LA, a rally, and on August 22nd, where we're asking all Californians to join and stand up for your parental rights. You as a parent should be the only one to decide what's right and wrong for your children. And for California to take that away from us is not a good thing. So we are declaring no show to school day throughout all the state cities on August 25th. If you cannot make it to our rally, you have work or something, we understand, just don't take your kids to school on August 25th to show the government that we as people will be united and will be strong and our voice will be heard. Yes. We will be heard.
That's what it is for really funny real question. So look at all these whites in front of us. All right, we're going to turn one and we're going to get into the bills.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Nara from Sarico Elementary. I'm just a parent there. And I started to become activist first time when they just locked out my daughter. Yvette, Yvette was next to me because she couldn't wear masks. So they just slapped the gate on her face. So that's when I became, yes, yes. And even with lawsuits and everything, anyways, I started to become an activist, and that's when I woke up that I cannot trust school. I have to be there awake and always to monitor what's happening. So, and today, you know what's I don't know, most of you probably know what happened in Sarico Elementary June 2nd. So we're gonna continue, and as Manuk already mentioned, we're gonna have April 22nd, we're gonna be at City Hall in downtown. Please join everyone. Bring like 10, 20 people with you. We have to be there, stand next to each other and fight for parental rights. Everyone who is a parent and who is not a parent, who will be a parent, grandmas, grandpas, please come join us and follow us on Sarico Elementary on Instagram to just see what we are up to, what we are doing. Thank you.
A shout out to Active Carry over there. If you're interested in preparedness, you want to follow him. A shout out. All right, so now we're going to touch on is how important it is to work at a local level. Now, I know we're seeing a lot of drag story time, whatever they want to call it, family stuff, and a lot of protests that come along with it. That happened in my town, but what we're doing now, there was one drag event at a kid's park, and that was enough for people in Stockton to ask me, how can we stop this from happening? So we're doing a city ordinance, and the city ordinance categorizes drag shows as adult entertainment, 18 and over only. Because protests are great, we need to rally together, but we also need to put in protections for our children at local levels and the state levels. So you guys can actually go onto freedom-angels.org. We have a tab that says UCOAS, United Counties of America, and it shows you all the resolutions that we've been able to get passed in different counties and in different states around the U.S. So now we're going to talk about the bills. AB 665 is a hot button bill right now. We have been talking to legislators in person about this bill. Unfortunately, fortunately, we were able to defeat the HPV mandate for all children in public and private school. Yes. Historical defeat. Yes. And so while we were working on that, we were not able to jump on AB 665 the way that it needed to be jumped on. And this bill would emancipate 12-year-olds. Tara, you want to go through the bill?
Yeah, so like she said, we didn't have a lot of eyes or hands on it in the assembly. So it passed party line vote, big surprise, right? Because it's the Democrat agenda, there's a zillion bills, so they don't even the ones that would vote against it don't know, they're just rubber stamping them through. Unless you call, you email, you show up. Because when you do that, what you're doing is you're red flagging a bill out of thousands. So there's everything you do has an effect. That is a really important one because it allows everyone who's building a relation at district or capital, it allows them, the legislators are like, oh, okay, yeah, I know about this, we're getting heat on it, it's coming out. Otherwise, they don't know at all. You're literally like, they don't know. So 665 will emancipate all children in the state 12 and up. And this isn't private or public school, this is by age, so homeschool, private, public. The legislators who's trying to pass it, Wendy Carrillo and Scott Wiener, are saying that it's to help homeless kids or to help LGBTQ kids. What it really does is it's just part of the same agenda that we're seeing at every level of school boards to state, federal, to social climate, to emancipate children, break up the nuclear family, say that the adults in the school or at the health professionals are a safer place than your parents or your family. So this bill will emancipate the kids to make their own decision to go to leave their family home and go to a residential shelter facility. Right now, that is already something they can do with a current guardrail. You have to prove that the child is being abused or a danger to themselves. And then there's a process to help emancipate them out of the home. But it's a very high guardrail, very important guardrail. They're removing that guardrail so that all 12-year-olds are going to be emancipated. We know what 12-year-olds are like. Or 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You're impulsive. You don't have the mental and emotional development isn't there. The science already shows the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for that emotional and mental development, isn't fully formed until mid-20s, 25 or 6. So for the last 3 years, the state legislators have been using that science to pass laws that ban marketing of vaping to anyone under 26, also gun marketing, and you cannot now in California waive your right to interrogation without an attorney until you're over 26 because of this knowledge that you're not developed. Yet all this extremist bills and agenda is pulling to try to emancipate children, to get them out of the family home, out of the custody of their parent, and this essentially puts them in as wards of the state because you're either fully emancipated on your own, you're under your parents' care, or you're under state care. This puts them into state care. Yeah, and we're all familiar with who Senator Scott Wiener is. Well, it's important to know what bills he has got passed to see where they're trying to go with this bill. So they're trying to pretend that this is going to focus on homeless children or children within the LGBT community, and that's simply not true. There's nothing in the bill that specifically targets a certain demographic. So this is for all kids.
But when he passes bills like SB 107 that creates California as a sanctuary state for trans kids, now this is affecting the entire nation, because now kids from California can come, or from Texas can come to California and say, my parents don't support me, I need help, and now they can get mental health treatment, which also the whole trans issue falls under. They'll be able to get services in a shelter. So it's a really dangerous bill. We've been talking to legislators, and they already know that there's a problem with this bill. They understood it from our conversations, but it's still passed on party lines. So it's waiting for a floor vote. Once it goes for a third reading, it's going to go back to the Assembly, which is where we have our moderate Democrats. So in the state of California, we have a new bipartisan caucus. They're Democrats, moderate Democrats and Republicans trying to bring some course correction to the state. This bill is going to go back to them. So the most important thing you can do is not just contact your senator to talk to them about this bill, put pressure on your assembly member, because they get voted in every 2 years. So they're always worried about their seat. This is a bill that will take them out of their seat. You try to emancipate 12-year-olds, we're no longer going to want you in office to pretend to represent us.
Yeah, so as you know, these bills get passed, these laws get passed because nobody knows about them. And nobody engages enough or strategically. So there's fault everywhere in this. Our own civic engagement, we have to learn and step in. And then it's our electeds. We have to hold them responsible for being, representing the people, and they should be, we always, say, you should be sharing this on social media. You should be talking and having town halls and telling the people the bills that are before you. And so it's one of those things that you have to realize that the state legislature and the executive branch are full of progressive Democrats. The bipartisan caucus is moderate Democrats and Republicans. They just formed in the last 2 years under the pressure of COVID. That is a blessing. This is one more of those blessings you could have never seen coming. They were sick of the stranglehold from the executive and legislative leadership on them. So with the formation of that bipartisan caucus, and the defeat of bills like SB 866 in 2019. That was the emancipation bill for kids 12 and up to make their own decisions on vaccines without parental knowledge or consent and blocking the info.
And we beat that bill.
We defeated it. Yes. We had it by like May, June. We knew it. We're like, you're not getting it from us. We got this. And it was from everyone who engaged. Let me tell you, what it tells you though, is this story that the media tells that the world thinks about California, that we're all lost our mind and we're crazy extremists, or that we're, all together in lockstep advancing this progressive agenda is a lie. That does not represent the people of California. We protect children. We believe in parental rights. We believe that we're the ones in charge, not the state, not the teacher, nobody else. And it doesn't matter just what the Democrats we stand, and the proof of that is defeat of bills like SB 866. Because you cannot in California, worst terrain in the nation, sets the they're trying to be an activist state and set the whole way for the nation and the world to go. Well, in California, the state legislature, it is a team sport. You cannot pass or defeat a bill without numbers game here. With the Republicans who can't do anything because they don't have the numbers. The moderate Democrats who are in there trying to work with them, and then the progressives, because that is actually how the numbers stack right now. So when you defeat SB 866, you take that as the mandate of the people that we will not tolerate this extremist, because even progressives stood together and said, we're not going there. Too far. We don't accept it. One of the things we talk about a lot is if we could get that one message out to the world and to the people of California, is just that. It's a lie. This progressive extremist stuff is not what the people here want. The state is worth fighting for because we believe in American values, just like Florida, just like Texas. And so if we work together, if we engage civically and have our eye on these things, it's a small group of people that can come together and defeat Scott Wiener and the agenda to emancipate 12-year-olds on vaccines. And this year, Merck, Merck wanted the HPV mandate for California because California is the holy grail for pharma. Pharma has no liability, they have all the marketing in the world. In California, 40 million people, over 10% of the US population, there is no functional exemptions on the childhood school schedule to get out of a shot here. So if you get a shot on the childhood schedule, pharma, billions and billions of dollars. It is literally the holy grail. Merck is the only manufacturer of HPV. They tried to mandate it for K through 12 and college in the state this year. And a small group of people fought off Merck, and we defeated that mandate. There is no HPV mandate for K through 12 or college in California because people engaged and because the legislators, including progressives, knew we can't go there. That's too far, we're not doing it. So it's worth your engagement. We should talk about 957. We will. We'll talk about 957 real quick. I just want you guys to look across the room and to see how diverse this community really is. They want to pretend this is a right-wing extremism. They called me a white supremacist with a tan. Like, come on. You know, like, they try to throw out all these trigger words at you to try to make you scared. And I have been through the street. I survived the streets of Stockton. I survived prison. I survived all of it. I am not scared of Scott Wiener. I am not scared of But it takes people from every single walk of life to build relationships. And when we talk about building relationships, it's being able to talk to legislators peer to peer. We're not, there's a time and a place to heckle. I love a good heckle. But, you know, there's always a time and a place. But we want to be able to make relationships with both parties, both moderates, both progressives, and they may not like us very much, but we demand respect from them because then we're going to call the dogs or call them off. Which one do you want? Right. Do you want people at your house? Do you want people like calling you? Do you want this or not? Because we can bring it. And so having those, we're respectful. You know, we talk to them with respect. We don't disrespect anybody because this is work. This is a working relationship. So we're not friends with them, but we're going to have peer-to-peer conversations with them. That's what's going to start those ongoing conversations. And so when we go to the Capitol and we were able to defeat SB 866, we had the progressives high-fiving us, like waving at us, shaking our hands, good job, like good game. Because politics is a game. This is what it is. And so when we defeated SB 866, you saw us still in the galley, like still waiting for the bill to be called because we defeated it the last like hours of session. Because it's a team effort. We're not going to just say, oh, we won, and then we walk out. This is us engaging at every level, local district level, going to the Capitol, having these conversations. And although the Capitol is super far away, I know, we have to be able to make time to do that because they can't represent you if they don't hear from you. Right now, they have a whole bunch of progressive staffers fresh out of college who are the gatekeepers to the conversations with legislators. And so as we want to flip seats and to get our people in office, we also have to think about us ourselves becoming staffers. Going into the Capitol, not just as a legislator, but being the gatekeepers to the legislators, being able to read the bills and to lead the legislators to how they should vote. All of these are really important. Right now, every single office at the Capitol has a progressive in there, which is very difficult if you're brand new to this and you want to go talk to them and they're not available. I'll let them know that you came by. So when you guys are talking about elections and talking about flipping seats, also identify people who maybe aren't on social media, aren't very open about their position, to get them in as staffers. I think that's a really important. So Gabby, do you want to go over 957?
Yeah, so AB 957 is titled the Family Law Gender Identity, and this basically takes it to the courts. If there's a custody dispute, the court, the judge is now to consider if a child is confused and is identifying as something other than how they were born. If Sarah is identifying as Ryan, they are to evaluate, the judge is to weigh in and decide, is dad affirming that Sarah is Ryan? Is he helping the child get help? And whether it doesn't even have to be gender affirming care, it could be simply calling Sarah Ryan. It could just be identifying the name change. The judges, the courts will now favor for the parent that is affirming the mental illness of the child, rather than getting them true help, or any help at all. And so part of the concern with that is when you're watching bills like AB 665 with the minors, if the 12-year-old is emancipated, there are no guardrails in there on, it says an attempt to reach the parents. So if your child doesn't come home from school, you're gonna assume they got kidnapped, they ran away, right? You're gonna go into emergency fight or flight mode, right? And there's an attempt to contact. It's not clearly laid out. And now you have to prove that your child doesn't need these services that they've put them in. I have been in a group home. I was a foster care. It is nowhere you want a child, whether they need help or not, and we needed help. But it is not a pleasant place, and when you have a child who was upset because mom and dad wouldn't let them do something, or they're confused and they need help, right? Mom and dad don't know that they're identifying as they don't know because the school's not telling them. And then all these woke social justice counselors, because the bill has been amended to now it could be somebody that's a simple counselor. It doesn't have to be a mental health professional that helps transition them, or an intern. And they're in Sacramento, they are, the Sac City Unified School District put out that they are doing scholarships for teenagers that want to train as interns to work in these LGBTQ clinics, which will then serve as the counselors. You see the pattern? So, and the bill is not specific to LGBTQ. It could be a kid that's simply mad because you took their car keys because they didn't come home past curfew. It has nothing to do with how they identify. That is just how they are pushing it through. That is the Trojan horse that they're using to strip you of your rights. And so when you look at 957, your child has been removed from your home, and now you have to prove that you don't need the state's help. You now have to prove that your child is okay, and now you're up against a court that is going to weigh and evaluate you based on whether you are accepting their mental illness or not. All the bills go together. Go ahead.
957 is it's for the family court. And what is really important to know is that the author, Lori Wilson, is going around telling, now she has a child who transitioned, and she's going around, she's actually a very nice woman. She's going around telling everyone, though, this is just a factor for the judges to consider. We're adding a factor in. But the truth is it's actually changing family code to make it in the health, safety, and welfare of the child to have their gender identity affirmed. That doesn't make it a factor to consider. It makes it the determining factor. The health, safety, and welfare of the child has to be the dominant factor. There you go. And so it's really significant. And the opposite of that, we're only 5 feet tall. Like I know, and it means that also the opposite of that, of not gender affirming, is really functionally abuse then. And you don't end up in family court unless you're already in a contention battle. So we know that children are being weaponized and used, no matter their age, no matter the mental status of the parent, no matter the desire to weaponize or not, that is happening. So it's a really big deal, and just like this other bill, 665, we're at the end of this. We didn't get to the heavy game on it until after the Assembly into the Senate. It's passed. It had, good battles in the hearings, but they're passed and they're moving on to the Senate floor, and because they were amended, they'll go back for a quick vote. It's still important to engage on them. We are late. It's gonna be hard, but your voice now matters. Like if we come now, even if we lose this one, because I'm gonna be honest, it's really hard where we're at this stage assessing it, but we have to show them we're awake, we see it, we know, and we're holding the line, and we are not backing down. That's right. Yeah. And that's the power of holding all. This is what with Freedom Angels and civil disobedience, we hold it because we're like, we hold all the arrows in the quiver. Like if we have to, we'll pull chain Aaron to the doors of the Capitol again. but we don't need to do that. We're going to build relationships. But they need to know, just like you're doing in the school boards, you're not backing down. Once you know, they need to know you're immovable. And then from there, you build the relationships, but they know
you're not gonna move. Yeah. Our next bill is AB 1078. This is what you guys are dealing with right now, even though it hasn't passed yet. So 1078 removes the local power from the school board and gives the power to the state. So you as a parent, if you have a problem with pornography in your kid's library, and you want to go to your school board and say, hey, I think we need to look at this and get this out of the curriculum, the school board isn't going to be able to do anything because they're going to have to get permission from the state. Is anybody in Riverside by any chance, or know anybody in Riverside? Y'all should be having the conversations now. Corey Jackson is the author of the bill. He is a junior legislator. He is an extremist. He is no good for California. If we allow him to continue to go forward, we're going to continue to see these kinds of bills. Now is the time to start organizing around that. And then the next bill, AB 1352.
That one is going to be a 2-year bill now. That's Mia Bonta, Rob Bonta, the AG, that's his wife. And this is the one that will allow the governing body of the school board to remove another school board member or censor them with 2/3 vote. So again, it's this control and the way to get out the parents who are waking up and stepping in and taking control. So, but they move that one, it'll go to next year. But again, the more we push now, and like you said, 1078, let's just like all give a shout out to all the school board parents and the staff around you, especially LA and Sunny Valley, who've got elected and have been holding the line either from the board or from as a parent, how incredible that is. And then now Newsom and Thurman are out there showboating and going against the parents and the elected parents of the school boards. You know what that means, guys? We won. We won. And we're going to keep winning because Newsom had to go and do what he does with Ron DeSantis. He had to come and be like, hey, parents of LA, I'm coming in on you. And that means we won. And we're not extremists, you lose. And we just keep locking arms, doing what we're doing. This is part of what we're doing down here. We are, we move locally too, and we move state. Let's all just keep coordinating together. Mike, did you have something?
I know you've been on the road all day today, but did you hear that Rob Bonta just opened up?
Yep. Yes. Oh, good. Yeah, Rob Bonta, AG, former assembly member, Mia Bonta's wife, he just opened up a lawsuit against Chino Valley for human and civil rights violations around, the right to privacy for the LGBTQ kids. Isn't that sweet? They care about discrimination and so all of a sudden, but Chino Valley showed exactly the power of local school boards, and this scared them. This showed them, people now understand the branches of government. We now understand our power as parents and our power as taxpayers. And so that freaked them out. So now they're coming with the big guns and we're gonna sue you. That's fine. The parents will get together, and I'm sure we all have some amazing attorneys in the groups that are willing to go head to head with Newsom. Yes.
Very quickly, does anybody know what law firms these people are working with that are developing this legislation? Because these imbeciles are not picking this up on their own.
Yeah,
They're not putting it into language.
Honestly, it's a global agenda. It's hidden back, but this is actually why, Senator Pan termed out, Wiener's about to term out and go on for, trying to get Pelosi's seat or something.
Yeah.
But Denise is right, we work strategically, we're gonna get into elections and what we talk about, because it's very important, like she said, Corey Jackson, we're coming for you. It's really important because you can see, we can tell you who's the players, who's the ones that are taking this, who's the ones that's just carrying water for their party, and who's the player that is like going after and trying to like be the next Pan or Wiener. He's one. Riverside is purple. He should be able to be easily, have a mounted campaign against him. But he's like, when you're weighing at the state level, the different districts to go for, he's a high priority. And so this is the kind of thing that we can all coordinate together with this knowledge of where should we all go, where should we go, and when we want to talk about elections real quick? Yeah, so some of what we're gonna say is gonna be controversial, and some people aren't gonna like it. But we wanna win. Win. Like, I only care about women, I don't care about anyone's feelings, I don't care about, like, any of that. This is tough love time. And what, in California, we gotta get smart. In California, the last few years, handful years, we have a law that means that the top 2 vote getters in the primary go on to the general election. What it means is that we have huge areas like all of LA, this huge, it has tons of districts that end up being 2 Democrats. They get the top 2 votes in the primary. So when general comes around, all you have is 2 Democrats to vote for. And where you have to start looking at this strategically, like we're gonna win. It doesn't mean, so what we talk about is, if you have a race that's gonna end up on Dem right now, that's where we're at right now. And we wanna get to a goal where our values are all represented, but we might need to take a couple steps, like an election here and then another 2-year here. Well, on a Dem race, we need to say, I love you, my Republican friend, but we need to find a moderate Democrat to all stand behind and back them to go against the progressive in the primary, so that when the general comes, we can get the moderate Democrat in and not the progressive. And this is the way, because we're gonna lose that seat to a progressive, because what happened if we don't? We see it, we've seen it in boards of supervisors we've lost in Orange County. We had our best county in the United States in Nevada. We lost a DA, we lost a commissioner because we didn't play strategic. We thought, we just didn't play strategic.
You know what, and I'm sorry, real quick. Everybody wants to talk about being in a red state, right? They're comfortable. They're like, oh, I hope California falls into the ocean. But it's very easy to lose that red state. Actually, I want Aaron to talk about what you guys did in Nevada and how you were talking about how you guys were able to create this and then you lost it because people got real comfortable. Go ahead.
So Tara and I work in a very specific county in Nevada who had contacted us to work with their school board originally. And upon discussing with them what was going on, we realized that they were exactly what we needed in the moment. They had actually been doing everything that we had been talking about, but they had been doing it under the radar. So Tara wrote all of these amazing resolutions, and the public health emergency. It was elder care. Tara, name them?
Yeah, it was, this was in February of 2021 and March of 2021. And we'll add though, that what we used was California. Let me back this up because this is a really important story. So you all remember the lockdowns. And May of 2020, Denise and I became friends with the mayor and the city council of Atwater, California. In May of 2020, they became the first sanctuary city for businesses and churches. They went against their county and against Newsom, and they actually told us we were at dinner with them after, and they're like, you want to know how we made our strategic decision to just say, well, too bad, we can't work with you, we're going to do this? They go, we got in a room, we decided that we're on our own. So we're just going to take it into our own hands, like we were talking about. And they made that, they went against Newsom, and they reaffirmed it after he attacked them in July of that year, and then in October of that year, 30,000 person city in Central Valley that had been decimated since 2008, had 20 new ground up businesses and had balanced their budget, and they had stood against Newsom in the worst terrain in the nation, and they proved that Newsom or anybody couldn't attach conditions to that money and control them with that COVID money, with their job or their finances. And then in Placer County, 100,000 people in that county, board of supervisors, Kirk Euler was a board of supervisor. He convinced all 5 of the county supervisors. Denise and I were there September of 2020. He convinced them all to end the public health emergency based on the data. And against Newsom, they did the same thing, against the threats. In fact, we had the SAC-B FOIA all the Placer Board of Supervisors in our phone records and put our texts up on the paper pages and stuff. But they proved, those 2 people proved that you can't attach conditions even worse to terrain. We took that and them, because they're our friends, to Nevada and said to all the counties there and said, look what they did. Look what California did. Cowboys, you're gonna let them do that under the worst terrain and prove it out? And they all went, wow. They proved it out. They showed that you can do this. And that's actually like what the school boards in Chino or everyone's showing. You're proofing out what can be done. We wrote the resolutions.
So the resolution, they passed 5 of them. And this was we call them county commissioners in Nevada, not board of supervisors. But the county commissioners, it was all Republicans. And then they had a really amazing county manager and a really amazing district attorney. So they thought they had everything on lock. And then the elections come. We passed all these amazing resolutions. We threw a party there. We all came down for it. And then elections come, and the AG was voted out. And then we lost 2 seats. So now, the best county in America now has the liberal agenda in it, because they've been working strategically for years to get those people into place. Yeah. While the conservatives and the Republicans were just doing what they always do. It's a long game. They have been playing that game for at least 5-10 years.
Longer.
And what they've done is they had put people in staff, just like Denise was talking about. And so this is a long game. This isn't just about this year. This isn't just about your kids. This is about next year. You're here. You're here. There is no going away. Nobody else is going to take your seat. We've got to play the long game like they did.
Yeah, we always do say to everyone, like, you're the front line, you're the SEAL team, let's go. You're here, all of us here are. And, remember we talked about the bipartisan caucus?
Yeah.
You should know that it's a really big deal, like a big deal. And when we talk to legislators in other states, they don't even know about it because, again, everything's hidden and censored. Everything you should know about is hidden and censored. It's a big deal, and the executive branch, the Democratic Party, the leadership of it, what they do is they fund the state elections. It's run by the progressives. They fund the progressive candidates. The bipartisan caucus has moderate Democrats. What they did last year is significant. Nobody knows it. They created their own financial war chest, and they funded moderate Democrats to go head on head against the progressives in the races.
Amazing.
That is incredible. And that is the kind of strategy. If we can't take a Republican seat, if you got a purple spot, you flip it. If you got a red spot, you hold it. But we have huge parts of this state, like LA and San Francisco, we're not at the only step we can take is moderate versus progressive Dem, and we have a bipartisan caucus, and we have our smarts, our knowing, our networks, and we can actually start to push the extremists out so that, and what we say is, like, we're up there dealing, these thousands and thousands of bills. We have these incredible wins which tell you we can all do this, that they're actually not representing us in the extremists, but we can't hold that. We lose lots of bills all the time, so we have to change the train. We change the train by being ruthlessly strategic. And where we have to, we get in moderate Dems, and where we can get in the Republicans, we do that, and we give, because when you get a moderate Dem in, especially the bipartisan caucus, you're giving the Republicans something to finally work with.
Yeah.
Especially when we hold them to it.
And I love that you guys are taking tons of notes. I do want to let you guys know there are some QR codes right there on the side. If you download it, you'll get all the things that we're talking about. So you're going to get the political strategy, you're going to get the homeschooling information, and you're also going to get prepping information. We think all of it goes together, right? We want to be involved in politics, we have to course correct, but we also really encourage people to homeschool because you can't have your children in the front lines while you are battling the demons that are out of the public school system right now. Again, when you have resources, you're harder to control, and so we've done our best to download you guys. You'll get access to our 2-hour webinar where we talk about how you can homeschool. You also get the digital copies, and for the prepping, you're going to learn how to preserve food, how to grow your own food, because again, when you have all of these resources, you can just give them a big middle finger. Like, I don't need anything from you guys. I can grow my own food, I can make my own money, and I can teach my own children. So they're right there on the corner, and then in the back, we forgot to tell you, sorry.
Yeah, and kind of to synthesize it's on one of the political strategy things for the political strategy. It's really basic. It's just show up. But it's build networks. That's what we're all doing here tonight. And again, Like, we all promise we are not leaving here without being more connected to each other and literally locking arms, because not only is that going to make us stronger and smarter together, but I can tell you it scares the hell out of the extremists. And so terrified what we're all doing here. I'm so terrified that they took Denise off IG the minute we launched our thing. But the other thing is the build relationships. Don't underestimate the power. Like we said, we started finally in 2022, we were able to finally build relationships with the Democrats, progressive and moderate, and it matters to just be able to have an ongoing conversation. Like we need to show them that we can find things to agree on, and we're going to fight you to the end on that. I mean, when they dropped the HPV bill, we walked right up the hall and wondering, we're like, oh, we're coming hard on this one. We're not moving down. But if we don't have that relationship, we can't be like, hey, Friedman, you're co-op owner, what are you doing? We're coming hard on this. We're coming real hard.
Yeah, my representative Carlos, he's the vice chair of the bipartisan caucus. Democrat, moderate Democrat, and it was not always easy to get his attention. He actually would run away from me. Every time he would see me, he would literally turn away, and his brother would get in the middle, be like this weird jiu-jitsu kind of thing. But it was hard, it was difficult. It is difficult to build a relationship. You have to continue to show up and to show them that you're not going to go away. Just because you want to be rude one time, you're lucky. And luckily, we have a relationship now with Carlos where I can tell him, I don't want to see you in my bar if you're going to pass this. There's going to be some problems here. We've been able to do that because we went after him so hard. There was an event, this was during the masking, all the masking, and our board of supervisors, we were able to pass a ban on vaccine passport and mass choice for kids in school. But Carlos, they didn't speak up. They were just going about their life, and we happened to run into him at a crab feed. There was 300 people there. He had no mask on. Wow. Boy, did I get my phone, and I chased him around. I was like, smile, Carlos, smile. And it went viral. You're not getting rid of us, because these are our children. These are our families. These are our livelihoods. You're not going to be able to hide from me. I'm going to go to your office, and I call them homeboys because they're in my area, they're in my neighborhood. I took a whole bunch of homeboys, and we went up to a couple of them. We're like, come on, let's go. And after that, they were seeing him in bars, and they were like, hey, I heard that you were going to support that bill. You don't want to do that. And, but it's a relationship building of being able to be peer-to-peer, but also remind them, you know your place, because I'm actually higher positioned than you. I'm your constituent. I'm going to vote you in. You all need to listen and pay attention. And so while it can be hard to start the beginning of building a relationship, the first part is contact your legislator in their local district office. That is your absolute first thing to do. Introduce yourself to them. So that way, when you start seeing them in the community, remember, they live in your community. Their children go to your children's schools. They shop in your grocery store. This is how we start building, is by introducing ourselves, having meetings with them in the local district, and then even going to the Capitol to let them know you're watching the bills. Even though they don't read the bills, you're reading the bills. Any bills that affect our children, any bills that affect parental rights, any bills that affect human and civil rights, we now have our eyes on it. And so when you do have a group, it's so important to be able to build that group and then break up and read whatever bills are coming through. Because there's 1,500 bills that are coming through. So there's so many. A small group can make a lot of change in a district, especially if you're able to break off and then come back together to the table. This is what Gabby does. You want to talk about what Sacramento does? Whatever thing you do.